The essence of sacrifice, attaining spiritual eminence, a chronic prospective introduction, sacrifice a noble act deeply ingrained in the fabric of human civilization, holds profound significance in the teaching of the Quran, rooted in the principles of selflessness, devotion, and obedience to the divine command. The essence of sacrifice transcends mere material offerings. It embodies a profound spiritual journey towards attaining closeness to Allah. In this discourse, we delve into the transformative power of sacrifice as elucidated in the Quran, exploring its essence, value, and the path to spiritual immense. Understanding the essence of sacrifice. In the Quran, sacrifice is not merely an act of relinquishing worldly possessions, it is a symbol of unwearying devotion and submission to Allah's will. The essence of sacrifice lies in surrendering our desires, ego, and attachments for the sake of Allah, embodying the highest form of devotion and obedience, whether it be the sacrifice of wealth, time, or personal aspirations. The Quran narrative underscores the profound spiritual significance of sacrificing for the sake of Allah. The value of sacrifice. The Quran extols the virtues of sacrifice, portraying it as a manifestation of true faith and devotion. In Surah Al-An'am, Allah declares, say, indeed, my prayer, my rites of sacrifice, my living and my dying are for Allah, Lord of the world. This verse encapsulated the essence of sacrifice as an integral aspect of worship, emphasizing its centrality in leading a life dedicated to Allah's pleasure. Furthermore, sacrifice is depicted as a means of attaining spiritual purification and divine favor. In Surah Al-Hajj, Allah states, their meat will not reach Allah, or nor will their blood, but what reaches him is pity from you. This verse elucidates that the essence of sacrifice lies not in the material offerings themselves, but in the sincerity and piety with which they are made. It is through sincere sacrifice that we purify our intentions, elevate our spiritual state, and draw closer to Allah's mercy and grace. My dear, the way of spiritual immense through sacrifice. To embark on the path of spiritual immense through sacrifice, we must internalize its essence and imbue our actions with sincerity, devotion, and selflessness. This entails surrendering to Allah's will. Embrace the spirit of surrender and submission to Allah's will, recognizing the true sacrifice begins with aligning our desires with His divine decree. Surrendering our ego, desires, and attachments allows us to transcend worldly limitations and attain spiritual elevation. Offering sincere devotion. Offer acts of sacrifice with sincerity and devotion, recognizing that true sacrifice is not measured by the magnitude of the offering, but by the purity of intention with which it is made. Whether it be through charitable giving, voluntary acts of service, or personal sacrifices, let every action be imbued with devotions to Allah. Prioritizing spiritual growth. Prioritize spiritual growth and self-transformation through acts of sacrifice, recognizing that true fulfillment lies not in the accumulation of worldly possessions, but in the cultivation of inner virtues and spiritual excellence. Sacrifice worldly comforts and conveniences in pursuit of spiritual excellence, knowing that true success lies in attaining closeness to Allah. Following the examples of prophets, draw inspiration from the exemplary sacrifice made by the prophets and righteous individuals mentioned in the Quran. Reflect on their unwearying devotions, selflessness, and obedience to Allah's commands, and strive to emulate their noble qualities in your own life. Seeking divine pleasure, strive to attain Allah's pleasure through acts of sacrifice, recognizing that true fulfillment lies in pleasing Him alone. Let every sacrifice be manifestation of your love and devotion to Allah, knowing that His pleasure is the ultimate reward. In conclusion, my dear, the essence of sacrifice, as elucidated in the Quran, serves as a guiding light on the path to spiritual enhance and closeness to Allah. It reminds us that true fulfillment lies not in the pursuit of worldly desires, but in the selflessness, devotion, and submission to Allah's will. As we embark on the journey of sacrifice, let us surrender our ego, our desires, and attachments for the sake of Allah, knowing that through sincere sacrifice we attain spiritual purification, divine favor, and ultimate success in this world and hereafter.